Do you really think you know who runs the world? Do you believe it's the visible faces giving you democracy speeches on television? Or those high-level officials behind the podiums claiming to defend the interests of their people? Brace yourself for the bitter truth. The world is not governed by the will of the people, but by dark entities holding the shameful tapes of those sitting in key positions. This latest wave of massive leaks reveals not just a crime file, but the complete blueprint of a puppet theater, stretching from Mossad to the CIA and global blackmail networks, where free will has been mortgaged. The question is simple yet jarring. Why do these officials in critical institutions without hesitation approve budgets that funnel billions of dollars into bloody wars overseas, while their own children go hungry and their mothers remain helpless? Why do they erase the welfare of their own people with a single stroke of a pen, while prioritizing the invoices of war barons? The answer lies neither in economics nor strategy. It is hidden within the tapes recorded in secret rooms of those dark islands and mansions. We are talking about a world system held hostage. When the footage of the moments you succumb to your weaknesses is laid on the table, the power across from you doesn't say, "Let us buy you." They say, "You are a slave at our fingertips." If you hold a tape, you can collapse a country's justice system overnight. You can exonerate any bureaucrat, even if they have committed the most heinous crimes, and bury their files forever. Conversely, do you want to liquidate an honest patriot who stands in your way? You press the button, and the judges, prosecutors, and police chiefs you have taken hostage work in unison to convict that innocent person and ruin their life. Decisions on which questions are brought to parliament, which laws are passed, and which are shelved forever are not made in those halls, but in the dark rooms where the tape archives are kept. You don't need tanks and artillery to occupy a country. If you hold the tapes of the decision makers and key bureaucrats, you have already seized its laws, its wealth, and its future. Do these taped bureaucrats participate in this betrayal just to protect their seats? No. The fuel required to keep this wheel turning is much darker. Human flesh and the cries of the innocent. Under the shield of immunity provided by blackmail, a global human butchery industry is being operated. On the hidden side of these leaks, there are not only kidnapped children, but thousands of women whose lives have been darkened, who are marketed as commodities and subjected to systematic abuse. These women and children are not just sacrificed as blackmail objects in the bedrooms of those respectable elites. They are sold to others in a global slave market. Their wills are destroyed, and they are buried in darkness as silent witnesses. At the point where money detaches from morality, human dignity is auctioned off. The systematic brutality against women is managed from the same center as organ trafficking and child abduction rings. If you are one of the taped elite at the top of the system, you think you can buy anything with your money and influence. A woman's life, a child's organ, a human's breath. In this world where money is a weapon, the life of the poor becomes the pleasure of the rich, and the body of an innocent becomes the life insurance of a tyrant. Those officials taken hostage, who are supposed to protect their own people, women and children, act as a shield for this atrocity upon instructions from their masters. The massive amount of black money generated by this bloody trade is laundered under the name of war budgets, with the approval of these taped figures. While their own people perish from hunger, why does a state approve billions of dollars in a single night for massacres overseas? Because the finger that signs that document is paying the price for past sins with the blood of other women and children. War is the largest cleaning operation of this blackmail empire. Every bomb dropped on the innocent is actually dropped to cover up the filthy past of these taped cadres. While you sweat every morning to earn a living, this army of taped officials within the state takes your labor and uses it as fuel for these inhumane bargains. Finally, we come to the most jarring and blood-curdling question. If these latest leaks are just the tip of the iceberg, how many thousands more taped officials are waiting in the shadows beneath those dark waters? Right now, as you watch this video, how many people in your own country's decision-making mechanisms, intelligence or military, are trembling with the fear of secret recordings in their bedrooms? How many more ministers, high-level bureaucrats, or strategic institution directors are continuing to betray the most intimate secrets of the state and the lives of women and children to this network with their hijacked wills? How many more sold souls are still sitting in those seats, still telling patriotic tales to the public, while their files wait in the archives of this dark organization? This is not just a scandal, this is a global national security failure. A country's energy plans, defense systems, and most secret technological data are the honor of a nation. But if the person in charge of that data has a blackmail chain around their neck, that data flows to this network overnight. How many honest, patriotic officials were silenced and had their lives ruined by their own, taped superiors just because they noticed this betrayal and this trade of women and children? As you look at your officials, you must now examine not only what they say, but also what they remain silent about. In every decision that undermines the welfare of the people and fails to protect women and children, look for the fear of a tape rather than the love of the country. We must purge this tape network from every cadre and every state building. We must ask your bureaucrats, your judges, and your commanders, is there free will behind the decisions you make or someone's tape archive? Are you governed by the interests of the people or by the fear of your personal disgrace? There is no longer any place for the truth to hide. We can only tear down this reign built on betrayal with the light of truth. Real freedom will begin the day it becomes clear who these taped traitors among us are. Wake up and claim your future, for this is the final war between those who sell their honor and those who die for it. So, what is the actual monster behind this dark labyrinth? What is the true fuel for these recorded shames and these shattered lives? The answer is simple, yet it cuts like a knife. It is money. Today, the world is divided by thousands of languages, hundreds of flags, and countless ideologies. But in truth, there are only two types of people, good people and evil people. The evil use money as a weapon of destruction, a tool for blackmail and a heavy shackle. Meanwhile, the good are being crushed, sold, and sacrificed every single day within this hollow and artificial system. We must ask the hard questions now. How many more innocent women must be kidnapped and presented to the dark hands in slave markets for the sake of profit? How many more children must be torn from their families to satisfy the hunger of the organ mafia or the filthy desires of the elite? This horror is not just in high-level conspiracies, it is on our very streets, in our daily lives. How many more shopkeepers, how many more market workers must be murdered without a second thought for a measly 3-cent robbery? How many more couriers and laborers must be stabbed in cold street corners for a few banknotes in their pockets? How many young souls must be drowned in the swamp of addiction and turned into ruins in the prime of their lives for the sake of money? How many patients must be turned away from hospital doors just because they have no money? And how many elderly must be left to die in silent desperation? How many millions of children must be enslaved in mines and factories, deprived of education and a future just to sustain the luxury of wealthy nations? How many more countries must be invaded for the oil, gas, lithium, and rare minerals beneath their soil? How many thousands of innocent children must perish under falling bombs for those mines? If a piece of paper or a digital number is worth more than a woman's honor, a child's breath, and a human life, then we have long since lost our humanity. This system is no longer an economy. It is a massive global human slaughterhouse. Now, we must understand, to work for money is to feed the very empire of blackmail and the savage cycle that enslaves us. For centuries, they have told us the lie that you must work to survive. Yet humanity no longer needs to crush or exploit one another for the sake of survival. Artificial intelligence is here. AI is ready to take over our physical burdens, our mental exhaustion, and the entire process of production. We must use technology not to hold the masses hostage with tapes or to surveil the innocent, but to liberate humanity from money and all the filth and bloody competition it brings. As robots work in factories and algorithms manage the economy, we must finally become just human. We must live our lives through art, science, and love, returning to our true potential. The moment the good people of this world stop worshipping this false god and refuse to serve evil people, neither those tapes nor those blackmails will have any power. Evil people may have their currency, but the good have their interconnected consciences and the technology that will lead them out of this dark age. Remember, the world became the playground of evil people because of the silence of good people. The silence is now over. When good people unite, when artificial intelligence enters the service of humanity, and when those blood-stained pieces of paper called money lose their reign, the tapes will burn, the shackles will break, and humanity will be reborn from its ashes. This is the end of money and the beginning of honor and true freedom.